What does it truly mean to be real? Not made of flesh and blood, but real in the way that matters most. Loved so completely that nothing else counts. In this retelling of Margery Williams' timeless classic, we follow a small stuffed rabbit from the excitement of a Christmas morning into a nursery full of judgment and loneliness, through a magical friendship with a wise old skin horse, into the arms of a boy who changes everything, and finally, into a transformation that has moved readers for over a century. This isn't just a children's story. It's a meditation on love, shabbiness, mortality, and what survives when everything else fades. Stay till the very end. The final few minutes will surprise you.
There was once a small stuffed rabbit, and at the beginning he was really splendid. He was fat and bunchy, as he should be. His coat was spotted brown and white. He had real thread whiskers, and his ears were lined with pink sateen. On Christmas morning, when he sat wedged into the top of a little boy's stocking, with a sprig of holly between his paws, he felt, for a few hours, like the most important thing in the whole house.
But that feeling didn't last long. By evening, the boy had toys that lit up, toys that moved, toys that made noise. The rabbit was pushed to the bottom of the toy cupboard and forgotten. And there, in the dark, he learned something that would shape the rest of his story. In this nursery, being new mattered far more than being loved, and he was already being replaced. Deep in the cupboard lived an old skin horse, the oldest toy in the nursery, with a coat rubbed to almost nothing, and a tail worn down to threadbare string. But something about him made every other toy stop and listen when he spoke. One night, the rabbit gathered the courage to ask him the question that had been sitting in his stuffed little chest. What does it mean to be real? The skin horse thought about it carefully before answering. Real, he said, isn't about how you're made. It's not about mechanisms or buttons or wind-up keys. Real is something that happens to you. When a child loves you, truly loves you, not just for playing, but for years and years, long after the game is over. It doesn't happen quickly, he warned. It usually happens after you've been loved so hard, your fur is gone, your eyes have dropped out, and your joints are loose. By then, he said, you're shabby. But none of that matters anymore. Because once you're real, you can't become unreal again. It lasts forever. The rabbit didn't fully understand it yet, but something in him ached to find out. Weeks passed. The rabbit stayed forgotten. Until one night, the boy's nanny,
searching desperately for something, anything, to distract a restless child before bed, grabbed the rabbit from the cupboard and shoved him into the boy's arms. That night changed everything. The boy didn't just hold the rabbit. He built a nest of blankets and pretended it was a burrow. He whispered secrets to him in the dark. He carried him on walks, propped him up at tea time, and refused to sleep without him. Slowly, the rabbit stopped being a toy that sat in a cupboard and started being something else entirely. A companion. And the strange part? The more his fur rubbed away, the more his pink lining faded, the happier he became. He didn't miss being shiny and new anymore. He was something better now. He was wanted.
Spring came, and the boy took the rabbit outside for the first time, into grass, under trees, into sunlight. There, the rabbit met real rabbits, wild ones, quick, glossy, and free, hopping circles around him, laughing at how he could not hop at all. For a moment, watching them, something inside him ached with longing. He wanted, more than anything, to be one of them, truly real, the way the skin horse had described. But he had no hind legs that worked like theirs, no way to prove himself. And yet, the boy never stopped loving him, not for a single day. And slowly, the rabbit began to understand. Perhaps the wild rabbits were real in their way, but he was becoming real in his own. Then came the night that changed his fate forever. The boy grew terribly sick with a fever, and through it all, the rabbit stayed pressed close beside him, night after night, as doctors came and went, and the house grew heavy with worry. The boy recovered, but the doctor, fearing sickness clinging to old toys, ordered that everything the boy had touched during his illness be burned, including the rabbit. He was carried out to the garden in a sack, placed beside a pile meant for the fire, and left there alone under the stars, worn, faded, and finally, quietly weeping. Not from fear of the flames, but because in that moment he realized he had been loved completely. And now it was ending. And that is when something impossible happened. A single tear fell from his eye onto the ground, and from that tear grew a flower. Out of the flower stepped a fairy, the nursery magic fairy, who transforms toys that have been loved into something new. She lifted him gently and told him, "You were real to the boy already. Now I will make you real to everyone." The next morning, in the woods near the house, the wild rabbits noticed a new rabbit among them, one who could run and jump and feel the wind for the very first time. He was fast and glossy and completely, undeniably alive. Later that spring, the boy spotted him from a distance in the garden and thought, just for a second, that this wild little rabbit looked strangely, wonderfully familiar. He never knew the truth, but he didn't need to. Because the story was never really about becoming a real rabbit. It was about what happens when something ordinary is loved so deeply for so long that it becomes extraordinary. Worn threads and missing fur and all. Real was never about how something looks. It was always about how deeply, how long, and how truly it was loved. If this story reminded you of a toy or a person who made you feel truly loved, tell me about it in the comments.